Welcome to the first meeting of 2023. We're excited that you're here. I talked to a good friend up in DFW, Mr. Bryan Edwards. He posted that he was the 25th ranked agent in San Antonio in December, which is an awesome accomplishment. Congratulations, Bryan.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we decided that, I reached out to him as soon as I saw that post. I loved it. And we were just talking about tooting your own horn. But I said, hey, you know what? Do you mind jumping on the Zoom and talking a little bit about your business and what you do to generate business in this time? And he was happy to share. So we're excited to kick this off. And then right after that, I also lined up Val Sisson, who will be joining us next week to talk about her organization. Organizational skills. And so we're excited to invite more people and get me off the mic more. So I'm excited about that for sure. So Bryan, this is going to be kind of an interview process-ish. Talk to us a little bit about your background. What did you do before real estate? And how long have you been in the business?
Okay, well, I guess I'll start first. Well, I was a teacher and I was a band director, as you were, and as a lot of our friends were. And I did that for 23 years. And then I got into real estate. It was in 23, it was 10 years. I've been in 10 years in real estate.
Okay.
And, 23 years teaching actually has been a benefit to me because you realize you have a big sphere of people.
Yeah.
But jumping into real estate, that was a whole new thing. And I had a buddy, and they were a big Keller Williams team in Flower Mound, and they had always been bugging me. Like I'd met them years before, and they'd said, "Hey, get your license, get your license, get your license." I always ignored it. Well, finally, I did. I ended up selling my house with an agent, and kind of like that process. And then I started learning about it, and I got my license, and I worked in their office as a buyer's agent that summer, and had a blast. Had a blast. Now it was a high intensity team.
Okay.
That office was closing anywhere between 300 and 400 houses a year.
Wow. Nice.
Okay. It was a lot.
So how did you know these people? They were just friends of yours that were in real estate?
So they had a kid in band.
Okay.
Not in my band. They had a kid in Rick Villarreal's band at McCamey across town, and I was over there doing a sectional. And the kid, anyways, I met the parents. They were volunteering at something, and Kurt, the team leader, Kurt Bueller, well, he had a habit of asking virtually anybody to get their license. Their MO was like they'd go hang out at a bar and they'd ask the bartender to get their license. And so half the buyer's agents were like, "Oh, I used to be a bartender." And that's how they started in the business. They were bartenders that got their license back in the mid 80s.
Wow.
And so it was a high impact team. And it was band director hours, man. I'll tell you, 7 days a week, long hours.
Well, what did that look like? What were your responsibilities in that first year or so as a buyer's agent?
I spent a week shadowing, and the second week I wrote 5 contracts.
Wow, jeez.
Okay, and my responsibilities. Well, it's funny. Being on a team and in the Keller Williams model, they expected a lot from you. Like they expected you to be in office at certain times, and they expected you to do 3 open houses a month. They expected door knocking, all kinds of stuff. Really a lot. It kind of blurred the line between independent and employee, to tell you the truth. But it was a great way to learn the business. And I mean, I guarantee you, in those 2 years, I did well over 100 contracts, well over. And so there's really, it was like learning the business in dog years. So I got a lot of experience those first 2 years, and about at the end of the second year, people knew I was in the business because I'd been making Facebook posts. And to me, when you get to about your third year is when people really start remembering, hey, I can call Bryan. He sells houses. And that's what happened. And so I knew that I didn't have to rely on a team. Now, of course, working on a team, it was a 20% to a 40% split on the buy side commission. Well, and I
Wow.
didn't, and so, and if you brought business, it was a referral also. So, I didn't want to do that. So I spent a year independent at Keller Williams, and that was fine. And then I told you, I mean, I had the opportunity. EXP was out there, but I didn't know about it. And I decided to go with JP and spent 5 years there, and then ended up here. So that's the real estate story for me.
What did you what did you take away from your team experience when you went individual? What are some of the things that you continue to do that you did as a team? And you go, you know what, that seemed to work. I'm going to focus on that.
Sure. I think the best thing we did was forcing us to do open houses. We got really good at just, interacting with people at open houses. I mean, I don't have a particular system, but that's probably the best thing that I still continue to do. I don't door knock. um, and also I learned about how they do their events, and how they were pretty good at working their sphere, but not great. And that's something I think I was actually better at, coming out of it. But I think the open houses, just because we did so many.
Yeah,
And I mean, we would sit down like on Tuesday, either Monday or Tuesday morning, we had a meeting with all the buyers agents. They would give us a list of the houses that they wanted held open that weekend, and we would divide them up. We'd get out Google and decide where we were going to put direction signs, And I learned a lot by that. I thought, okay, this is dumb, but then it made a lot of sense, because then you look at the map and you decide, okay, well, here's the traffic coming. And even though in most of the areas, I don't know if you know this, but in most of the areas up here, you're only allowed to put out 2
okay.
directionals because the city ordinances. Well, we overlooked that a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd lose the signs because they hire code guys that come around and pick them up, but it's worth the risk. So, that was something I never would have thought about that on my own.
Sure. Yeah.
Just a strategy for open. Oh, and we'd put out the directionals really early in the morning. Like I'd get up real early. They put out the directionals, go to church, do my thing. If it was on Sunday,
Yeah.
Um,
How from, let's say, from your first couple years as independent away from the team, how has your business changed to now? Does it look similar? Are there some things that you still do that have worked the whole time, or has it gone into a different direction?
I think it's mostly similar, except that it's grown naturally. You know, um, that's if anything, that's now becoming a different challenge. Is when I have real busy months, how I manage that. Like sometimes it's more. I don't use a TC,
Right.
but when I have a busy month, then I start thinking, oh, okay, maybe I should rethink that. And now I'm getting to a point now I can tell where I think things are going to get a lot more consistent, and I may need to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. So what does your business look like? You had a good end of the year in 2022, with some good success there. What would you say that your business looks like on a day-to-day and weekly basis? Obviously, we get pulled away with, hey, can you go show this house? Hey, can you go do here? And maybe you attend a training or two,
Mhm.
and we have those types of things. But if you had like a whole day to where you had plenty of time to prospect, or even like a perfect week, what are you shooting for? What does that look like?
So I don't have a specific, some people will calendar everything,
Right.
and I don't do that. There are activities I do every day. Like I have a certain amount of phone time, and I have a certain amount of um, what I call sphere work.
How much phone time, and who are you calling on the phone?
Well, I'll reach out to Sphere or other kinds of prospecting agents, whatever, um, just to say hey, just to touch base, just to keep in contact. That's been the number one thing is, to me, all my business is through my Sphere. It's all personal referrals. Um, and so making myself have a system to stay in contact. And you know what, with Mark was on the call. Is he on? He may
Yeah,
not be
he's
on right
here.
now. Um, his system is kind of what I use, and how he talks about buckets and doing that. I'm not as detailed oriented with it. And because for me, one of the things I have to be successful is that I have to have flexible time built in. Because if I overschedule, then it causes me to have a problem.
Yeah.
So you have to have some amount of flexibility in your day-to-day schedule, because I could plan out my day that I'm going to do something, and then I get a call, hey, I want to go see this house.
Right.
And that does bother me if I haven't planned for it, if I don't have that flexibility, because I want to be able to drop everything and go to my people.
Right.
And so I try to plan it so that, okay, if I don't get to these are the things that if I don't get to them today, I can do tomorrow.
Sure.
But I try to evaluate at the end of the week, okay, did I miss anything? And that's the hardest thing, is going back and checking accountability.
Yeah. So you have phone time. You earlier when we were chatting, you mentioned social media.
Mhm.
Are you doing social media stuff on the daily, and what does that look like for you?
So some of it's just the stuff that we would normally do, like when we're just checking our feed. But I'm real particular with how I do social media. Now, I haven't done as much lately, but I try to post things, and I try to post non-business things, and I try
Hey,
to
can I
interact.
can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Brian is one of the best people I've ever known in terms of putting non-business social media that makes you just that's interesting and kind of off the wall sometimes, but fun.
Right.
And I think that's really, and then he does a good mix of business in there too. But to me, people relate to you pretty well through social media, and you get a lot of uh, I'm sure it's intangible to know exactly how much business you get from it, but a lot of it I think is just you're just active in a fun way on social media.
I try to put things that are funny. I I avoid political or anything controversial specifically. I don't ever put anything like that. And I've got to where if I have friends that comment, or I don't ever comment on those.
Yeah.
And I think and people like, I pay attention to what people either comment on or what they like. What I get mostly, it's about my kids. I try not to do this is kind of weird, but I have a thing about this is I don't post vacation stuff really. And it's because I had this lender that I knew, and every Facebook post is him on some fantastic vacation, but it's like every week. And it's like, are you working or are you on vacation? So I'm aware that I don't want to give that kind of impression either. But I do. I try to do fun stuff uh, for my people who know my sense of humor, things like that. And like with my business thing, and what I will spend time doing is going back and see who commented or seeing who liked it, and see if it's somebody I haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah.
And I will catch that every once in a while. I'll go, man, that person saw this, and I haven't talked to them in months, and I totally forgot about that person. And so I'll reach out. I'll send them a message, and try to get their email and cell phone if I don't already have it. But I do spend time studying the reactions I get. And I think I get more business that way than you would imagine.
Yeah, I think it's super powerful. Do you try to commit to posting something daily, or is it
It
kind of
depends.
random?
It depends. Like if I have stuff in mind, I will. Like for instance, I haven't posted anything since my business post last week. I don't think. Um, but I like it to be good. I think it has more of an impact. If I don't have anything great, I just don't make a post. I'm not as great on Instagram, and I'm trying to be more active on that because there's a lot of potential there. But most of my sphere is still on Facebook because I'm old.
No,
My kids would tell me that Facebook is for old people.
I remember talking to Mark early on in my first year and going, I never reach out to my sphere. How am I going to do it? I'm scared. And he goes, what you're doing on social media is touching your sphere, you know, because pretty much our whole sphere is probably on our Facebook. So it's pretty impactful.
Not all of mine is, but a great deal of them are. And I treat it as a separate database, is what I do. And they used to have, there's some features that they don't have anymore. They used to have it where you could break your people down in groups.
Maybe not a question, but I post way too much as far as business focused or, real estate focused on my business page. I have a separate personal page. And the reason I have it set up that way is because I'm the most paranoid freak that you've ever met. And I'm terrified that someone's going to come and try to steal my children. Now, I know I don't post my address on there, but I grew up obviously in the time where my parents were uncomfortable with social media. And so they would always say, you're going to post something and somebody's going to come and steal you or take you. So that's my mentality. And I know I should, especially on my business page, post things about my family and, maybe lighten up a little bit, but I'm a little gun shy to do it. I mean, and I'm also a girl. And so I feel like I'm a little bit more exposed to weird humans. So if you guys have any suggestions, I don't know.
Val, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, no, I was literally going to say Ashley should speak on this because she posts frequently and it's good. And I know that your son is involved in some of that as well. So take it away.
Yeah, he is. So I understand. So the way I see it sometimes, Val, is that like our business page, that's our business portfolio. When people want to know and see our work, they go to our business page. When they want to see us in our world, which is real estate and family, then that's going to be our personal page where we have a little bit more jurisdiction as far as like who's invited into that world, right? And so business page, that's my portfolio. If you're looking me up on my realtor page, which is open to the public, you're right. It's going to be all business. You're going to get all the business, unapologetic business, closings, clients, reviews, everything, because that is meant specifically for that. And so then I will share in my world, in my personal page, some of my business posts, and then I'll just mix it all up, just big old Ashley fest there.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't mean this to turn into a social media, how we should post, how we should run, but it made me start thinking, I do have a business one and I have a personal one, but I stopped trying to build my personal Facebook. And I was just sharing the exact same thing on both pages. Now, I will have some random people that I've never met before, follow me on Facebook. Not a lot. It's very slow and random. But pretty much everybody that is on my personal Facebook is like pretty much everybody that I know. I know all of those people. I don't know how that's worked out.
Well, can't you, when you make a post on your personal page, and Ashley would know this, can't you make the post only seeable to people that you're friends with?
Yeah, you can.
And not to the public. So maybe that's the answer, Val, is, you're picking who your friends are. You're accepting them as friends. Maybe you could, when you do a post on your personal page, maybe you could, just make it only visible to friends, not public. Maybe that's an answer, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think that's a great idea because I know I need to do it, and I want people to see that I'm a real human and not a robot. And I think
and also your kids are just so darn cute,
Yeah, that's right.
My daughter wants to sell real estate already, so I think I could use that. But I've just been so gun shy. But those are all great ideas. I'm gonna definitely do that.
Just do it. Just do it, girl. Just do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I get huge reactions off my kids' posts.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
like I feel like I'm using them, but I am. But it's okay.
They're the real money makers, not us. They don't want to see us.
Seems that way. And they're also the spenders too.
No, that's awesome. I appreciate everybody jumping in and sharing their thoughts on that. Bryan, let's get back to your day-to-day. Is there
Okay.
anything else that you feel is important to driving your business forward?
You know, I don't, some things I don't think of as a day to day, but like I'll set aside certain days where I make sure to read business oriented things. And there was a time I got away from that, and I'm trying to refocus on, just keep learning things. So I always try to find something real estate that I can study. And I'll go back to my favorite book, the Ninja Book. I'll go back to that all the time. And I'm like, oh, dang, why haven't I been doing that? Why have I not said that? Oh, forgot about that. It just reminds me. I need reminders. I think the biggest thing for me day to day is I try to personally contact with as many people as I can, either through text or phone calls or lunch or something. Like I go out way more than I used to and meet somebody for a drink or coffee or breakfast or whatever. I do that way more than I used to.
And these are people in your sphere.
These are my sphere. Yeah.
That you reconnected.
Yeah. And I've tried to focus, JJ had a great thing where he talks about his events that he does. And I've really tried to take that to heart because you can hit more people at one time. And I've tried to do little mini event things, like I thought it was really interesting. And Mark may have said this too, but JJ divides up his people by things that they like. Like he's got his whiskey group and he's got his dog group or whatever, and I've got my camping guys or whatever. And so I try to keep that in mind too, and hit that, talk to that when I hit them.
Cool.
Just a different way to connect.
Yeah. Do you do any like mass email? Do you do any mail outs? Anything like that?
I don't do mail outs. Every once in a while I'll send like a just sold postcard or something, but I haven't had a lot of success with those things. The biggest thing I started doing, I took a really hard look over the summer about what activities I do and what kind of production comes from those activities. And the biggest thing I did, I tried to evaluate how I was spending my time. And I do that all the time. Like, okay, what am I doing? Instead of getting caught up in a Netflix binge, which I would love to do most of the time.
Which, by the way, has anybody seen Kaleidoscope? I keep on seeing these advertisements for like what order to watch it in, and it's very intriguing. So yeah, I don't know. I got distracted. Sorry to take.
No, that's okay. Another thing I try to do, and I try to, when I post social media, I try to do it at specific times, like early morning and late afternoon when people are going to see it, before and after they drop off kids and stuff. And then before business hours and after business hours, I do certain things. So like when I'm putting stuff into SkySlope, that's not during business hours. I do that either really early or real late. It takes away, I only call people during the day.
How many calls, how many touches are you trying to make a day? I mean, if like, let's say, if you hit 10 touches, you're like, hey, that was a great day, and you pack it up, or you just keep going and going and going if it's working hours.
It just depends. Like I try to do 5 to 10.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get interrupted if business happens, and that's okay. But what I was going to tell you, because you were asking me about emails, and I don't do just random emails. And the one thing I started doing this year, and I did this because of coaching, is video emails and video texts. The biggest thing I changed this year was getting over myself on video. That was the biggest thing. And I guarantee you that has made a huge difference. Because I went through my database, kind of cleaned it up. I made a VIP list, which I'd never really done before. And so I've separated it into I think of my database as circles, and my VIPs are in the middle, and my goal is to bring everybody to center as much as possible.
I like that.
And so I use BombBomb, which is a really amazing program. You can send out mass emails and you can track them, and you can send out video emails. And when you send out a video email, it'll track who opens it, how much they watch. And the coaching helped me with this, because the coaching I use, they supplied me with templates and all kinds of stuff. I didn't have to create it. Now, since then, I'll look at their examples and I'll go, well, that's pretty good, but I'll change it, to deal with my own people.
Right.
And I tell you, I think last month I got at least 2 deals from one video email that I sent out, and it was from people that I had not talked to in a while, but they saw my email. They can comment on the emails. Most won't, but I do ask for that. Yeah, go ahead.
So I looked it up as you were talking about it. So BombBomb, so it allows you to video record straight into the email. That's the program, I'm assuming. And
Yeah.
then from this program, you send out the mass emails, and that's why it can gather the data.
Yep.
Cool. And do you
I
pay
think-
for Essential or Plus?
I think you can do something through KV Core. It might be connected to BombBomb, but I think there's something that you can do through KV Core. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure on KV Core, it allows you to do like 5 emails a month for like free, and it's through BombBomb. But then obviously they have an add-on through KV Core. I want to say it's like $30. Maybe it's more than that. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I wrote it down and I'm going to look into it as well, because I think you're absolutely right, Brian. Every now and then, and I again, like you said, last year you committed to video, and it made a huge difference. It's just way more impactful, and getting over yourself and putting your face on the video is super powerful. But yeah, that's what I've noticed.
Mm-hmm. And I'll also send out video texts, little notes. And it can be just 2 sentences. Hey, just checking in on you guys. So instead of what I would say in a text, they would see me. And some of them, what I do at the end, you can put a little landing page when you ask for a referral, or if they need something, you can add that at the end. But all that was set up for my coaching. I didn't have to create it. And if you want to know about that, I can tell you all. But that's a really great thing to help referrals.
What 2 things there. What kind of content are you putting on these BombBomb videos?
So the one I will send out this month will be basically my outlook on real estate for 2023 and what I think.
Okay.
And I'll have some statistics on there. And then I'll send out seasonal things. Like in the fall, I sent one out with fall activities that were coming up in October. Pumpkin patch here, here's some things going on around town. That was for my local people.
Yeah.
And these are for like my VIP people I really know. This is not people that I do trickle things to. That I try to, if I use KV Core, I only use KV Core for all those trickle campaigns, which I don't really do very much of. People that I really haven't, people I couldn't call up and say, hey, have a conversation with. But that's kind of what I'm doing on these. And I did one just for fun, end of the year. My first video, I just made kind of fun, like, hey, I'm trying something new. Let me know what you think. And I got a huge response over that.
Yeah,
Huge.
for sure. That's cool. No, I know I am scared to do that. I've done a little bit here and there, and that's
Well, I had to talk myself up into it. I was like, well, I'll make a video after I lose 20 pounds. Well, guess what? Too bad. I just got over it. I decided people love me exactly how I am, which is true.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't ever watch your video again. Just shoot it, send
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And the more you do it, the better you get.
Oh, that's so true. Like I feel like the podcast that went live today was like, it was the 11th podcast. I was like, I recorded it and I was like, man, that went better than the first several, and just you just start getting used to it. You mentioned some events. Have you been able to host any small events, and what, if so, what have you done, or what do you
So the I do like a little whiskey tasting group, and I have a group of, it started out mostly guys, but now I'm going to have to do one that's like husband and wives,
Mhm.
because now I've got clients where they both do that. So I'm going to have a husband and wife one also.
Okay.
And that's been fun. Um, and I've also tried to be a little bit more. The biggest thing between teaching and real estate is it's forced me to be more social.
Yeah.
You know, we worked in a job where we didn't have to see adults, and sometimes we couldn't see adults, and so you didn't have to worry about that, and you could be your own person and hide in your room, basically. And I kind of regret that. I kind of regret taking advantage of that now.
Right.
But now I try to connect socially in as many places as I can, through my kids' school, through church. There's a group of guys that I've got hooked up into, and we go out, and guy has a ranch, and we go out and eat like kings and shoot guns or whatever. And
Yeah.
I know I'll get business eventually.
Oh yeah.
Not why I do it. I do it because it's fun, but I know they're going to call me.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. You mentioned referrals. Do you actively ask for referrals, or do they just naturally come in?
I do both. Yeah. Like I've got a group in my sphere that is business owners. And so I will meet them for a lunch, and I'll just say, hey man, don't forget about me when you're talking about your friends when they need to sell a house,
No.
and it doesn't have to be like begging.
Right.
And with those people, you have a feeling of you're going to help each other out. You got each other's back. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Ringer on.
It's all good. You got to go show a house.
I wish.
Well, cool. So yeah, you hit on a lot of things. Is there anything that you maybe do on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis that we haven't touched on?
When I was writing things down, I think the biggest thing is staying persistent, and it's funny because 2020 and 2021, that COVID time, man, it was like each half of those years was not great.
Mm.
It was like each year was half great, and it had good moments. And so those slow times, the only way I got through it, and I think it paid off like this summer, is when things were slow, I doubled down on my sphere work. I would just hit it really hard on my sphere, and I knew I wasn't going to get something, may not get something right away, but I knew months down the road I would. And sometimes you get lucky, and hey, here's my son needs a house or something like that. So just staying persistent, doubling down if it's slow. Um, look for different ways to stay active in the business. Like if I don't have a big weekend, then I'll go around and check out open houses in areas that I haven't been to in a while. I'll just go in just to kind of keep your finger on what's out there and prices, and you meet some agents, it never hurts.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll set up my own tours, because one thing, we don't really do tours anymore. So I'll set up previews and go around and check out, especially if it's a really cool house and it comes up and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see this house, even though I don't have a client for it.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. It sounds like it might be a waste of time, but I don't think it has been.
Do you when you do that, is it just for yourself, or do you record it? Do you share,
I
hey,
just go for myself.
okay. Yeah.
And then, and for us, it's a way for me to keep, like sometimes if it's an agent that I know, I'll specifically go even if I don't have a buyer in that category, I'll go just so I can give feedback to that agent.
Yeah.
And I always try to give really good feedback if it's an agent that I'm want to stay connected with,
Sure.
you know. And if I know them well enough, I'll call them. Hey man, I went to your house, did a preview. That's a great house. How'd you get that listing? You know, and just kind of, it's just kind of fun. And I think that'll pay off eventually. I try to go through my sphere and think about how we're connected. And if there's things about them that I've overlooked, like did I overlook their hobbies? Did I overlook what's going on in their family? Are their kids getting married? You know, and try to remind myself of what's going on in their lives. I spend a lot of time in my sphere.
Do you, and speaking to those terms, do you like go into Facebook and stalk them a little bit to see if there's
A
anything?
little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's a hard thing, because the way the system works, if you don't comment, their stuff starts coming up. And what I was going to say earlier is Facebook used to be able to let you divide your friends into groups, and you could post things where that group would see, and you would comment, because the more you comment, you know, when you post and they comment and you comment, man, it makes that algorithm fly.
Yeah.
And then they'll come up and see your stuff. So I try to keep, it's different now. They've changed some of the things, but if there's somebody I haven't interacted to, I might go to their page just to see what they've posted.
Yeah.
You know, I try not to spend hours and hours on it, but
Right.
you know.
Well, cool. I think that's all the questions for me. Does anybody in the room have any questions for Bryan? Something that we touched on that you would like him to expand upon? Any questions? Feel free to.
Hey, Bryan, I have
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable enough to send us one of your video emails, or maybe the next one, send it to us too?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Just because would like to dive into that and haven't done that.
Yeah.
But I would love to just see what it looks like.
Yeah, and I'm getting ready to do my January ones. I'll try to send you. I wonder if I send it to myself. If I send it to myself, it'd be easy for me to forward it to you.
Yeah, I should be able to do that.
I'll look. I'll look when we get off. I'll send you that first one. It's kind of dorky, but it works for me.
Bryan, would you mind if you're sending it to us?
That'd be great.
And would you be okay if I put it on the group or no?
You can. Yeah.
Okay. Just like here's an example of Bryan using BombBomb. You know, it's really helped his business out in 2022.
Yeah. And I mean, if anybody wants to know about the coaching I've done to go along with that, I'm happy to share that.
Yeah, you mentioned coaching. What did you sign up for? Who's that with?
The coaching I do is a couple up here called Sphere Influencer. And it's Jason Esparza and Amber Esparza. They're EXP agents. Although they're really more into their coaching. But it's a really good program. And this is really the first time I've really done coaching. And I had to get over, I think what I've learned to do now is, okay, I've got the amount I'm going to spend for that coaching, and I know I'm going to get back far more than what I put into it now. Yeah. If you commit to a program, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're going to put 5,000 into it and only get 6,000 back, well, okay. But this, I've seen the effect. I mean, I could tell you it's been very useful for me. It's been very effective. So I'll send out that the link. I've got it right up here. And they also are on Facebook. I think this will work. Influential agent, sorry.
Influential agent.
I'll put this in the chat. I'm not sure if this is the right link or not. Come on, chat. Where are you? And they're also on Facebook. And they will have, let me see if I can find their Facebook real quick. I'll try to be quick. Yeah. The Facebook group is Sphere Influencer. Okay. And they do a lot of, on their Facebook page, they do a lot of promos, and there's a lot of free stuff that they'll do to get you to join. It's been really good though. I do recommend it. And they're super tech savvy, super tech savvy.
What would you say is their focus in their coaching program? I mean, obviously, it's probably centered around Sphere. I would assume so.
Absolutely, that's the whole thing.
And what are they, just different ways to touch your Sphere, or what is it?
Well, mostly what this program is specific with the video emails, and video texts and video notes.
Okay.
But it's, I mean, they're all about working from your Sphere. Everything they do is geared towards that. The things about Facebook that I was telling you, I learned from them years ago. They do Facebook inside and out and understand how it works. And they're a good resource for equipment. You know, the least expensive mics for the money, the cameras that they use, the lighting that they use, all of that. It's pretty much laid out. The best thing about it though is their scripts. The scripts are done. So it's almost plug and play, except for making the video.
Right.
So if you follow up with them, tell them I sent you.
Well, cool.
So
Awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing all this with us. You know, took up 50 minutes out of our hour here, and I know I wrote down a lot of notes. Hopefully, and y'all wrote some notes down and took something away from it. Again, one last opportunity to ask any questions. Anybody?
What's your favorite whiskey, Bryan?
Oh, that's a hard question. Because if it's bourbon, it's Blanton's. If it's Scotch, that's a whole big thing. Scotch is just Highland Scotch, but I like Balvenie is the name of it. So I can talk Scotch.
Yeah, we probably can't afford any of them, so there you go.
You can, Mr. Icon.
Whatever. Oh man.
Well, awesome, Bryan. Hey, I would just want to thank you again for coming on and sharing this. I know that you kind of started your own group up there in the DFW, kind of what we're doing down here with some events and get-togethers. So I hope that it continues to grow up there. And I look forward to our masterminds and talking about attraction and all kinds of things. So let's get together real soon and keep this going.
You bet. See you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bryan.
Bye.
When's the next
Bye.
coffee? Bye.
When is it? It's Tuesday.
Coffee is Tuesday. I'll be posting that probably either here in a little bit or definitely tomorrow. And
Hang on.
I'll,
What time?
9 to is that right? Let me double check. No, I think it's 10 to 11:30. Check my calendar.
9, Tuesday 9.
Oh, you're,
Tuesday at 9.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I did
Can you
9.
hear me, by the way?
You were breaking up just a little bit.
Am I breaking up?
You're good now.
Yeah. I'm breaking up. I'm driving through Wimberley, Texas, which by the way, Wimberley is really pretty. But I'm driving through it and it's up and down hills and I keep going out. But it's usually at 9, so I don't know if you already said that.
Yep, it's 9 to 10:30 next Tuesday.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm gonna hang up now.
Okay, yeah, hope to see all of y'all there at Expectation on Tuesday, and I'll be posting that in the group. So share away, let's focus on growing and sharing this year. So let's get after it. Thanks, guys.